Hello everyone, you're welcome to this awesome class. My name is Medarchive and I will be your guide for this lecture. Now, the title of today's lecture is How to Write a Content for a Perfect SEO and User Friendliness. Now, before now, I trust that you must have had a prior experience writing online. That's creating content for blogs, for writing essays, for submissions, writing for competitions and the rest. But what we're about to discuss today is a bit more special. It's talking about technical writing, technical content writing. Now, it's not just any type of writing, because writing for a blog, or writing for enjoyment purposes, or writing for an essay, or writing for an exam, or writing any content is very different from writing a content for a perfect SEO and user friendliness. So for this tutorial, we are going to go use this outline for our tutorial. So the first thing we are going to talk about is introduction, the components. The second thing is the components of on-page SEO, components of a user-friendly post, steps for writing a perfect SEO and user-friendly post, and then the no-nos of writing a perfect blog post. I call them the no-nos. That means things you must avoid if you want to write a perfect blog post. So now let's get started. Now you must have heard this term SEO, SEO this, SEO that for a long time now. Now what is SEO? SEO is just an acronym for the term called Search Engine Optimization. And now SEO comprises of everything a webmaster does to bring a desired content in front of their desired audience. Now mark the keywords here. A webmaster is someone who creates content for the web. That means a blog, it just means that a blogger, someone who writes contents on a blog, is a webmaster. Someone who also writes and creates content for YouTube channels, for Instagram page and the rest, in a way that triggers search engines to find these contents faster, is a webmaster. So now search engine in this case include places where people can make quick search for things and then find their results. It could be Google, Bing, Yahoo, even YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. All these are search engines. Just any tool or app where you can search for something you are looking for and then get specific results for whatever you are looking for. Now, content here includes blog posts, videos, images posted on any platform like a blog, website, or a street channel. Now, to create any content, to make any content to be searchable online, by searchable online, it means that whenever someone who has interest in that particular topic searches for related content online, your own content which are published on your blog will be featured by any search engine that has access to that your content. So all the process all the processes that involves you bringing out this content, all the settings you do on your blog to bring out this content on your social channel is called SEO. And then for a content to be featured, that's to appear online, it must be search engines friendly. And as such, it will have better chances of appearing in front of your desired audience whenever they search for related contents online. Now let's look at the components of SEO. Now there are basically three components of SEO, but at this level we are going to focus more on the last one. So the first component which I have written here is technical SEO. Now technical SEO comprises of every structural settings a webmaster carries out on the site to make it available for search engine indexing. Now I will just take a few minutes to explain what search engine indexing means, though it's a little bit beyond this scope. And we can check what it means online, like after this lecture, after this tutorial. Now basically a search engine like Google works like a spider web that crawls millions of web pages online. And as it's doing this, it's bringing out contents from different blogs that are talking about a topic and then ranking them based on their relevance and based on the contents written on each of these pages. And then whenever a user or an audience searches for these contents online using any of the search or using the particular search engine like Google now ranks all these contents and then brings them towards all the person searching for all these things, so that it makes it easy for them to find information they are looking for. Now, the next form of SEO we are going to talk about is the on-page SEO. Now, on-page SEO comprises of everything you do to format a post or all the settings carried out on the web pages, your blog post, to make it easy for search engines to rank it in the midst of many other related contents online, as on the web. Now, the last one is off-page SEO, which comprises of every interaction between your site and another site, and how this interaction links to the authority of a web page, which a web page has on the internet. Now, like I said before, we are going to focus more on the second one here, which is on-page SEO, for writing a perfect SEO post and a post for a good user friendliness. Now, let's talk about user friendliness. User friendliness here simply refers to everything which a content creator does while writing and formatting a post to achieve any or all of the following. Number one is to give a web visitor the answer to their question. Now, at Medarchive magazine, we don't just write on any content for the sake of writing. We write every content so they'll be able to answer questions that people are actually searching for. So we don't just wake up one morning and say, okay, today we are going to write about this, and then start writing without having anything in mind. So our main target is to write a question, to write on a topic that people are already searching for. And how do we do this? It's actually beyond this level, but we do this through keyword research by finding which of these terms and topics people are actually searching for. That's people within our niche. Now, the next thing you are trying to achieve in user friendliness is to increase visitors' on-screen time and engagement on a page. Now, by on-screen time, we are talking about the amount of time a web visitor and an audience spends on a particular blog post when the person, he or she, starts reading that blog post. So the aim of user friendliness is to make the person feel comfortable reading whatever you have written by spending more time, and by doing this, the person is spending more time on that web page. Now, the next thing we are trying to achieve is to guide a visitor to take your desired action. Your action can be anything. It could be to increase your audience, to your social channel engagement. That's to link people directly from your blog to your social channels, to increase your community base, to increase your fan base, to help even to sell affiliate products or to make a buying decision, depending. Now, the next thing we are trying to achieve in user friendliness is to increase visitor retention. Now, you want to write a content that people can be able to remember. So you write a content, someone searches for it online, the person reads it, and later, many months or many years later, the person can be able to remember that, hey, at a certain time I read this blog post, and then he can be able to reference it anytime or while talking or while discussing with friends. He can be able to refer this blog post to friends to come and read. Now, the next thing we are trying to achieve here for user friendliness is to make the visitor fulfilled and happy. Now, while trying to make the visitor fulfilled and happy, for instance, a visitor is confused about a concept on your niche, and now this visitor goes to Google or any search engine, searches for a term related to the topic the person wants to find more information about, and then the search engine now features your blog post, and then the person eventually clicks on that blog post. After reading this content, your content should be able to make this person fulfilled and happy, and that means that this content is said to be user friendly. Now, the last and one of the most important things in user friendliness is to increase visitor return frequency. By increasing visitor return frequency, I'm talking about making the visitor want to come back again to read more contents on your blog. So all these things are the things you are trying to achieve in terms of when we talk about user friendliness, and it's what you should have in mind for every blog post you are writing. Now, let's talk about the important components of on-page SEO. Now, in the past, let's say 10 to 15 years ago, when people recently discovered that they could just create a website or a blog and then write whatever they want to online, and people can then come to their blogs and read whatever they have written. People never knew anything about keywords. But as search engine, as Google and many other search engines are getting smarter, people are now learning that if you can be able to manipulate a search engine to be able to make a particular web page to rank for any of your desired keywords, a chosen keywords, then you can be able to bring a post you have written in front of any desired audience you want. Now, the most important component of on-page search engine optimization is the keyword of that post. Now, although a lot of SEO gurus used to dismiss this, but so far for Medarchive Media, we have been experimenting for the past 2 years on keywords and on free posts you have just written. By this I mean we have written posts without actually having any particular topic in mind, but we just generate a topic and then write on this topic and wait for it to appear on Google. Now we have been doing this for 2 years now, and also for some posts we select a particular keyword and then write a post centered on this keyword and try to optimize this particular post for this keyword, for these keywords. And then what happens? Within 3 to 6 months, the article is already booming. It's getting tons of traffic. So one of the first things you should bear in mind before writing a blog post is the keyword. The keyword is the meat of the post. And from the keyword, you can be able to derive any other component of a particular post. Now, the second most important thing is the title of the post. Now, by title of the post, imagine seeing a content online on Google. You search for a particular keyword on Google, and then there are tons of results. Now, believe you me, whether I like it or not, what influences the decision of a particular post which you are going to click on to read for that particular time is the title. For instance, you see a blog post says 12 very important tips on how to get admission into medical school, for example. Or you can see a post on how to get admission into medical school. Just this example. Now, seeing these two posts ranking for the same particular keyword on Google, a user will most likely click the first one that says 12 most important tips about getting admission into medical school. Now, it's very natural and it's simple. And then while generating the topic for each post, you should be able to consider the emotions of the reader. The emotions of the reader helps you know the kind of contents, the kind of titles the people are willing to click on when they see varieties of topics online. So that's the title of the post. Very important concept. Now, the next thing we are talking about, another important concept, is keyword varieties. Now, every keyword has keyword varieties. For instance, let's say a keyword like how to get admission into medical school. Now, a variety of this keyword can be admission requirements for medical school. Another variety can be medical school requirements. Now, keyword varieties are the keyword itself, but written using different terms, using different terminologies, using different variations, even using characters of the alphabet like hyphens and the rest. All these things make up the keyword varieties. Now, in choosing a keyword, there's something I forgot to mention. In choosing a keyword, you should be able to choose a keyword. Okay, I think I mentioned it before, but you should be able to choose a keyword based on the number of people searching for it. You don't want to choose a keyword that no one wants to search for or that no one is searching for. So, like I said, for this particular keyword and the research and itself is actually beyond this scope. We are going to talk about that when you move on to your next level. Now, the next thing is the good use of language. As a writer, naturally you should have a good command of the English language or whatever language you're writing for. But for Medarchive Magazine, our major focus is on the English language. So you should be able to communicate to your audience, whoever you are writing to, in very simple language that they can be able to understand. So once you are given a keyword to write on, the first question you should ask yourself is, this particular topic I'm trying to write on, who is the target audience for this particular topic? And the target audience for this topic should influence your use of language. For instance, if you are writing a topic on maybe a medical terminology and the target audience is maybe, let's say, final year medical students, you should expect from these final year medical students that they should have some basis of medical terms. So being, let's say, a bit exuberant while using words for them, like using medical terms, shouldn't be that bad. But imagine writing a content tailored for someone who is yet to get admission into medical school. Believe you me, if you write using words that they may not be able to relate with, they may find it boring reading your blog post. So you should be able to bring the language down to the level of understanding of whoever your target audience is, and that's where the good use of language plays important role in SEO. Because when search engines analyze a blog post and they understand that users are not really spending so much time reading the particular blog post, maybe because of the poor use of language, then what do they decide? They decide, okay, these users find this blog post uninteresting, so they reduce the rank on Google, and then that post will stop getting the tons of traffic it used to get before. Now, another important component of on-page SEO is the subheadings. Now, every post should have subheadings. You shouldn't just start writing without a structure. The subheadings are the structure of a post, and then the subheadings should point to the keyword, at least one of the keyword varieties of the keywords you are writing for. The next thing are the images and flowcharts. Images or flowcharts should be able to beautify your blog post, increase the time the user spends reading your blog post. Some users do say that, in fact, a single image does a lot of wonders. A single image is just like using is like 1,000 words. Also, some bloggers prefer to flowcharts in recording, in writing their blog posts, and it makes a lot of sense because using a flowchart, you can be able to explain a whole lot in just a simple image. So now the next thing is the answer to the user search query. Your goal as a blogger is to make sure that your blog content answers the question which your user is searching for. Then you must include your call to actions. Now let's kind of go through all these things. I've already spent a lot of time talking in detail about each of these, but just let's read through and see what we have. So under keywords, as written here, in the next level, you will be taught on how these keywords are generated. Then the most important thing here is to make the keywords assigned for each blog post to appear as many times as possible without making it too obvious or spammy. Then the keywords are not case sensitive, but they are highly character sensitive. By this, I mean that a keyword, whether you write in capital letter or not, it doesn't matter. But you should be careful when using characters for your keywords. For instance, you shouldn't include something like a hyphen and the rest. Now, so you should make these keywords appear on the post as they are when they are given to you. So when they are given a keyword, don't go about trying to add any variation like a hyphen or the rest. Now, for example, I've written here some examples of the keywords that can be used on a blog post. For instance, something like the PRM medical abbreviation. Another example is medical exams in Nigeria. I'm studying med pharmacy in Nigeria, and the rest. So all these things are topics that people are searching for online, and they can serve as a keyword. These are pre-researched keywords that you can use to write a blog post. You can use to generate the topic for a blog post. Now you should know that you can only include characters like hyphen on a keyword when you are sure that this keyword has appeared enough for the length of the blog post. Now, on Medarchive Magazine, we use an SEO tool on our website to help us prevent overuse or underuse of these keywords. So further details on keyword usage will be discussed on the next level. So the next important thing, as we discussed earlier, is the title of the post. Now, one of the most important components of on-page SEO. The title of any post, like I said earlier, must be something people want to click on when they see it online, and it must include the main keyword of the post, and it must always include a number, almost always, except for a few occasions for some topics that doesn't really require a number. Then it should also include a power word or an emotional word. A power word or an emotional word here is something that strikes a bell, that rings a bell, that makes someone want to click on a post you have written. Now, it also should not be too long or too short. An average for Medarchive Magazine, the average title of a post we use is usually between 60 and 120 characters, Now, the keyword varieties should include all keywords related to this keyword as gotten from a search engine or a Google keyword research tool or a keyword research tool. Now, how to get these keywords above the scope of this level, but ideally you should include like 3 to 6 keyword varieties and more for a blog post. Now, the best place to find keyword varieties is the Google's related searches. Now, how these Google's related searches works is that, for instance, if you search a particular term on Google, I'm going to show you after the end of this lecture, this tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can be able to generate Google related keywords, Google related searches. But here's a brief overview of how it works. You search for a term on Google, and then there are search results which comes out. Now, if you notice carefully, while searching down the page, you are going to see people also ask for, then you will see some varieties of terms that people also search from Google. Now, all these terms you are looking at, they are called Google related searches, and you can use them while developing your content for any particular keyword you are given. Now, talking about the good use of language, a perfect blog post should have a good command of the English language. Then you can use tools like Grammarly while writing to minimize errors. Now, you should also know how to use facts and statistics or quick stories for text induction. By text induction, I mean a particular style of writing used by a webmaster or a blogger to increase user engagement. Now, some bloggers tend to use stories. Some people will just mention a statistics. Let's say that 30% of people do not know this. Then so and so. Then you introduce your topic and then you start writing. So text induction it simply means the style of writing which you develop to make someone to want to keep reading your content. Now, about subheadings. An average post should have at least 3 to 5 subheadings. Now, subheadings are they are best generated using Google's people also search for, as I discussed earlier. Now, the subheadings must include a silent introduction. Now, I don't know how I generate all these terms, but a silent introduction in this case is an introduction which you write for a post without really writing introduction. For instance, you are given a topic, you write the title of the post who you want to write, and then maybe you start telling a story or start raising statistics without actually writing introduction per se. So you just start writing, but whoever is reading it knows, or Google or whatever search engine that crossed that particular page will know that this is the introduction of that post. Now, a subheading should also include a body with multiple other subheadings and specific answers to questions, usually from Google people also search for, as I discussed before. Now, the final thing is a conclusion or the final words, which must be compelling enough to make a user reading your post to take an action or to want to come back to read your post again. Now, I've said it before, one picture or a flowchart says 1,000 words. You can't underestimate the role a picture play while writing on a blog post. It increases user engagement, helps them retain whatever they are reading, want them to spend more time on the page and the rest. Now, the next thing you should look out for is answers to users' search query. Now, a lot of bloggers don't know this, but this is very important. While writing a blog post, the most important thing you should be focusing on is to make sure that whatever you are writing is giving an answer to the question to the query someone searched for on Google. Now, you should know when to use more words or even to tell a story. And also, you should know when to state things just as they are. For instance, if you're given a keyword on a medical term, to write on a medical term, for example, you shouldn't just go about telling a story when you can just state the fact as it is that this medical term, let's say for instance, the medical abbreviation PRN, you can just say the medical abbreviation PRN, you can just give a brief overview of the importance, like while writing an introduction, give a brief set induction of the importance of learning medical abbreviations and why medical students should pay attention to medical abbreviations. Now, this is not where you can be able to use a small story to introduce this, but now when you come into the body of the blog post, now this is introduction, but when you come into the body of the blog post, you should be able to state I should find you writing what the meaning of that PRN abbreviation is. Now PRN stands for Prorenata, and Prorenata stands for as needed. I should see you trying to write this as it is, not really trying to use words to confuse your audience, things like that. So know when to write a story, use a story to introduce a topic, and know when to just write things as they are. Now, while writing a post with few facts available, for instance, there are some posts where while writing you have done all your researches online and there are very few details about this. Now, this is when you can use fictitious stories, that's fictions, to be able to relay to your audience what this topic is actually about, because you have little facts to write on. Now, you should also know when to use fictions and when to be real. Now, not everyone enjoys fiction stories. Most people like it more when you are sharing a personal experience than when you are just writing a fiction. Now, on the other side, we have things like you should know when to include definitions. Definitions, there are some definitions that you don't need to alter. They are just as they are. And for such definitions, you don't need to tell a story about them. You can be able to just switch some words, use some synonyms, but then just leave those definitions as they are, write them as they are as you continue with the rest of the prose. Now, there are direct answers to Google's people search for. To be able to get these questions, this Google search for this Google people search for, you can be able to get it directly by searching for a particular keyword on Google. And when you search for a particular keyword, you will be able to see what people are also searching for and then provide direct answers related to the topic you are writing on within your post. And in such a case, you should use a sentence or two and give a direct answer to such queries. Now, the call to actions, very important concept. As I've explained before, every post should be for a purpose. Always have a reason why you want to read every post you write. People want to read every post you write. And at the end of the post, it is your aim to give them that reason to read that post. Also, have an action you want people to take, either to initiate them or to make them to buy a product. Now, examples of a call to action can be subscribe to my channel, subscribe to this blog by clicking on the blue button below, get this guide or book or product for more information, follow our social page, connect to our WhatsApp channel, and the rest. Just something to help them take an action. Now, the next thing is the components of user friendliness. Now, I have to say this. You should know what people are searching for and give it to them. I've said this countless number of times. This is to tell you how important it is in content writing. Now, you know how annoying it is when you yourself you read a blog post and this blog post is not giving you what you're looking for. What happens? You just then close that browser tab immediately and then search for another post hoping to find the information you want. Now imagine if you actually finally find this information and more on a particular web page. It's natural that you tend to spend more time there. You want to get more information, even know about the blog, even if possible start following the blog if they have a community. Now the next thing you should do is to think of what they want to see and then show it to them. You should be able to write a post that people want to share with their friends and then finally give them what to go home with. Now, most people while reading a blog post, these are some of the things they most likely want to go home with. Something like a recommendation. A recommendation can be maybe another blog which is of a high authority, which they can be able to get more information from about the topic. Or you can give them a community to be a part of, like on Medarchive magazine. We already have a community or a WhatsApp community at this moment. We also have an events website where people take quizzes and the rest. So it can be a part of things you can give to people, make them to be part of our community so that they can be able to increase their whole growth and career in the medical education industry. Now the next thing is to increase more engagement. Another thing they want to go in with is more engagement. They also want to have a good memory of what they read on your blog post, and this can be achieved using flowcharts and images, breaking up the content into specific paragraphs. Now, the next important thing we are going to discuss is the steps for writing a perfect on-page SEO and user-friendly post. Now, here are the steps for writing a perfect blog post. The first thing you have to do is to outline the keyword and the keyword varieties. The next thing is to develop your subheadings for the post using Google's people also ask for. Also do a keyword research on your topic and to get your facts straight so you don't just write on anything. Then you start writing, check for important checklists, and then upload your content for formatting on the web dashboard. Now the first step, which is the keyword and the keyword varieties. I've said before, at this level you'll be given the keyword to write on and not the keyword varieties which you must include in the post. So you do not need to worry about the keyword, you'll be given that before you start writing at this level. So the next important thing is to develop your subheadings. Now, if there is an important query closely related to your keyword on Google, include it. It's important that you include it as one of your subheadings. At least one of your subheadings should contain the keyword as it is. It's very important in keyword for a well-optimized post. Now the next thing is your subheadings should include a silent introduction. A silent introduction, that is the introduction without writing the word introduction. Then a body with 3 to 5 or more subheadings depending on the content length. Now the next thing is a conclusion or final words with call to action as described earlier. So the next part of this is to do your research on the topic. Now, basically you should research facts which you are going to include on your post should come mainly from highly authoritative websites related to our niche, like Wikipedia and Medscape, or any other well-written blog which you find while doing your research on that particular topic. Now, search for your exact keyword on Google and find the top 10 ranking articles on this keyword. And go through the content looking for the following. First is you are checking the length of the post, and your aim is to write more words than they have written, other bloggers have written. Then what areas did they cover? You're also checking for what areas they did not cover. How can you write this topic better than them? And then while writing your own topic, you should aim to integrate facts which these people have not included in their own, because it will make your own content stand out in many ways. Now the next stage is to start writing. So at this stage, let your creative genius lead you. I'm not going to teach you how to start writing. I mean, before you were accepted into Medarchive Editorial Team, it's been certified that you're a good writer. So this is the point where you just let your mind flow, empty your mind, talk to your audience, talk to the person reading the post as though, write to the person reading the post as though you are talking to them. Just write as though you are speaking to someone or you are advising or addressing someone depending on the situation and the topic. Our standard word count for every blog post, no matter how thin the content on it are, is 800 words and above. So when writing on Medarchive magazine, you should not write any content below 800 words. It will not be published at all. But the standard blog post on Medarchive is usually above 1,500. So if you can write anything more than 1,500 words, depending on the topic you are giving, that means this topic should have lots of information and lots of facts about it on the net. You can write even up to 3,000 to 4,000 words, depending. So while writing a blog post, you should include as many details as possible in the post, but do not digress from the central topic. Just make sure that what you're writing is focusing on giving answers on that particular topic, on that particular keyword. So the other thing we should pay attention to are the important checklists after writing your blog post. So at this point, you have finished writing your blog post. The next thing you should check are: did I cover the question? Did you answer the question for this particular topic? So if I am going to read your blog post, will I be able to find the answer I am searching for in your blog post? And then the next question you should answer is: what is the appropriate call to action for this post? Once you find the appropriate call to action, depending on the post, you include the call to action. Then another important checklist is you find out what is other blog ranking. Okay, you find out what other blogs are ranking for this topic, and what did they write on, and what did they cover, and what they did not cover. So your aim is to write on both what they covered, what they did not cover, and then make your own post stand out on the search engine. Now, the next checklist is you ask yourself: will this person reading this post want to come back to this blog again after reading this content? So if you are sure after writing your content, if you read through it and you feel like you yourself, you are not going to come back to read this post if you are the one that saw it online, then just know you have just done a poor job. So you should be able to know how to enhance the topic better to cover more on the topic you are meant to write on. Now here is where we talk about the no-nos of writing a blog post. Like I said earlier, the no-nos of writing a blog post are all those things you don't want to do while writing on Medarchive magazine. Now, the first important thing is plagiarism. We frown at this a lot. Like we have a tool. I don't know if you have heard of Copyscape. Copyscape is a tool which we use to check every content you submit for publication. Now, if your content, if we find any plagiarized content on your blog post, it will not be published. Now, it's good to know this. But then a lot of people will now ask, because ideally it's impossible at this age to find a topic that has not been covered before on the internet. Nearly everything people search for have already been covered. So the question is, how do we avoid plagiarism? The most important thing in avoiding plagiarism is to avoid copying posts from other sites verbatim. By verbatim, I mean copying posts from websites as they are and pasting it just on your own post like that and expecting us to publish it. I'm sorry, we are not going to publish that content. So, while publishing a post, you should be able to shun, I mean rewrite the post using your own language, write the post using your own terms. Now, for instance, if you get a post and you feel like there is no new thing I can be able to add on this post, the best thing you should do is to rewrite it. It's called spinning. Spin this using your own words by including synonyms, pronouns, and other figures of speech, so that you can be able to remove those people's words and then put in your own to make your own content stand out. Now, another thing we frown at is not finding the purpose of a post or a keyword before writing. Now, while giving a topic, the first thing you should think about is, what is this post trying to solve? What problem is this post trying to solve for the audience? And then the next thing we are going to frown at is not doing your research or giving out information you are not sure of. If you are found on Medarchive as a Medarchive author, giving out an information you are not sure of, your post will not be published. And then the next thing you should do is not having subheadings. Every post must have a subheading. It's what makes a post have a structure, and it's what makes a post to be search engine friendly. Now, the next thing is writing a story where you can just write facts as it is. And the next thing you find out is writing a post that is boring or a post you yourself cannot spend time reading. So, in summary, writing a blog post that is search engine friendly is not as simple as writing a story for enjoyment or for fun. It is more technical than you ever imagined. So we do not just write for fun, we write to meet people's needs, and that is giving answers to their queries and solutions to their problems as it is related to our niche. Now, every keyword you are writing on is researched and has a purpose. Know when to state facts as they are, and know when to use a beautiful story for set induction. You are not writing for a contest, so don't try to impress anyone using superfluous words. Write in simple language that everyone with basic understanding of the English language can understand. And while writing every blog post, always ask yourself these questions. Who is my target audience for this post? What kind of language can he or she understand? And then the last thing, did I meet this person's need after writing this blog post? So thank you so much. At Medarchive Magazine, we enlighten, inspire, and promote medical education. I hope you learned so much from this blog post. So, in summary, by practice, if you keep writing, what I'm going to leave you with is that if you keep writing, you'll be able to get more acquainted with technical writing. It's actually a bit difficult and challenging in the first attempt, but with constant practice and constant writing, you'll be able to get better writing online. So, thank you for your time. Thank you for listening to this lecture, and I hope to see you in the next class.